Tade jati tanai jati.
Tat ijati tannai jati.
Tadure tadvantike.
Tadure tadvantike.
Tadantar asya savasya.
Tad antar asya sarvasya.
Tadyusavasyasya vayata.
Radyu sarvasyasya bahyata.
Like to read the translation,
Yes.
please?
The Supreme Lord walks and does not walk. He is far away, but he is very near as well. He is within everything, and yet he is outside of everything.
So a verse of contradictions, seemingly opposite statements. But as Prabhupada says in the purport in the beginning there, that these contradictions given here prove the inconceivable potencies of the Lord. Yeah. So he's so great that everything is within him. Even though for us it seems like it's opposite things, but everything is within the potency of the Lord. So he's so great. That's the whole idea that we want to get from the scriptures, is understand just how great God is. He's so great. He's far beyond our comprehension. That's so great. Okay, so let's continue. So I've got it marked here, in this connection. So well, just a bit of a recap. So we've talked a little bit, Prabhupada was speaking about deity worship, the Archa Vigraha. So we've been talking about deity worship and what that's all about, that the Lord appears in what seems to be a material form, because that's the only thing that we can see. We can't see his spiritual form. So out of his mercy and love for us, he appears in a form that we can see, made of wood or metal or marble or so forth. And then we worship them as Sita Ram or Radha Krishna, Lakshmi Narayan, like that. And but actually the Lord is present there in those forms if they're properly been installed and worshipped. Then they descend and enter into those material forms, and they become spiritualized. They're non-different from the Lord. And we've spoken about historic evidences where deities have actually talked to the devotees, and they've even walked off the altar and eaten all the offerings, and there's nothing left, and so forth. So many what appears to be miraculous things have taken place, but indicating that it's true what the scriptures are saying, that the deity is actually God. Actually, God is present there. And then we talked about the last paragraph where Krishna says that he only reveals himself to someone that's surrendered to him. So he reciprocates according to the level of surrender. If you surrender a little bit, he reciprocates a little bit. If you surrender a lot, he reciprocates a lot. So basically that his nature is, and his knowledge about him is very confidential. And like I've mentioned, I think once before, that we do the same. We don't reveal ourselves to just any Tom, Dick, and Harry. You're not going to tell all your private information to a complete stranger, are you? Only someone that you trust. And then you'll reveal your confidential aspects, like where you live, and who your family members are, and how much money you have in the bank, and all these things. You'd think twice before you reveal all that confidential stuff, all the very personal things. You're only going to tell that to some close friend, someone that you trust. So God is the same. He doesn't reveal himself to the non-devotee, to an asura, a demon, someone that doesn't have any faith in him, that doesn't love him. But if you have faith in him and you love him and you're serving him and he trusts you, then he will reveal so much. about all his personal information. Does that make sense?
Yes, definitely. I mean, yeah, that's basically. I was reading something and it says realization. Yes, when you do, a bit of realization that um, whatever you read, the presence of God or the person who's actually created this world, that's kind of you have to experience by yourself. Nobody else can do it for you. I mean, it's kind of, so he was saying that in terms of that, it's basically your own journey into knowing yourself. So I cannot know how somebody else is going to realize them. So it's yeah, I mean, it's true. So it's responding individually basically, and then you have to, yeah, that's yeah. So I think I believe that, yeah, that's true, yeah.
Okay, so let's continue. You
Yeah.
can continue there in this connection.
In this connection, the two words that reveal scripture often apply to the Lord: saguna, that means with qualities, and nirguna, without qualities, are very important. The word saguna does not imply that when Lord appears in with perceivable qualities, he must take on a material form and be subjected to the laws of material nature. For him, there is no difference between the material and the spiritual energies, because he is the source of all energies. As the controller of all energies, he cannot at any time be under their influence as we are. The material energy works according to his direction, therefore, he can use that energy for his purposes without ever being influenced by any of the qualities of that energy. In this sense, he is nirguna, without qualities. Nor does the Lord become a formless entity at any time, for ultimately he is the eternal form, the primeval Lord. His impersonal aspect, or Brahman effulgence, is but the glow of his personal rays, just as the sun rays are the glow of the sun god.
Okay, so this sometimes the Lord is referred to as saguna and sometimes nirguna. So this seems a bit contradictory too, that that the Lord has qualities and also has no qualities. So people misunderstand both these things. If you say that the Lord has a name and qualities and activities and a form, then people will immediately think of that in terms of our own material name and material form and material qualities and material pastimes. But actually, the Lord's qualities and his name and pastimes, everything is transcendental, they're spiritual. But people misunderstand that and think that, oh, he has, if he has, he is with, he has with a face and with arms and with the legs and so forth, that it's like same as my arms and same as my legs and my head, my face, my eyes. No, but it's not like that. Therefore, the scriptures will also say nirguna, that he doesn't have any qualities, meaning no material qualities. So he doesn't have a material face and material eyes and material arms, material legs, but they're spiritual. But people misunderstand that nirguna. Okay, he has without qualities, so he has no form, and it means he's like just a emptiness or a void. He's not, just energy. That he's just energy. He's not a person. But so both of these things have to be understood from either from the Lord himself or from his representative, the spiritual master, to get the proper interpretation. Otherwise, people will twist these words to suit their own, what they want to hear and want to understand. So does that make sense?
Yes, yes, yeah. So yeah, that's
So both terms are given to the Lord, that he's both Saguna and Nirguna. So with qualities and without qualities. But when it says with qualities, it means that he has spiritual qualities, a spiritual name, spiritual qualities, spiritual form, spiritual pastimes. He's not impersonal. And Nirguna is letting us know that his qualities are not material. His qualities are not material. Not that he doesn't have any qualities, because one could interpret it that way. Not that he doesn't have any qualities, meaning that he's just an impersonal energy, but that his qualities are not material. So that he doesn't have any material qualities. So that's correct. No material qualities, but he has spiritual qualities. So that is the proper interpretation.
So Saguna and Nirguna basically, when we talk, it's more about material. It's more of material qualities, right? Is that correct?
Yes.
So that's basically
No. Well, I mean, Saguna means with spiritual qualities, and Nirguna means without material qualities.
Okay.
Yeah. So Saguna means with qualities, but with spiritual qualities.
Spiritual qualities. Okay.
Yeah. And Nirguna means he doesn't have any material qualities. So guna itself just means qualities, but then you have to give a further commentary on that to explain what kind of qualities. What kind of qualities? So he has spiritual qualities and no material qualities. So that's the proper understanding.
So Saguna means the spiritual qualities. He has spiritual qualities.
Yeah.
Okay.
So if it was to be interpreted that he has material qualities, then that is wrong. That is incorrect. And if you're going to say that he doesn't have any qualities at all, not material, not spiritual, then it means God is not a person at all, just an energy. That is also a wrong interpretation. So that's why we have to hear it from the Lord himself or a spiritual master, the representative, to get the proper understanding. And many people, they do misunderstand these terms. And the Mayavadis, or impersonalists as they're known, they are always saying that God is nirguna, means he has no form, and he's just an energy. And when God manifests in this material world, he manifests in a temporary material form with material qualities. So they say like that. So they say that they'll say, which is actually very blasphemous statements, which in Sanskrit we say is aparad. This is aparad, means offense. Offensive. So they make very offensive statements. For example, that Krishna was a temporary manifestation, manifestation of the Brahman. So they say the Brahman, the energy, the Brahman means the all-pervading energy, like Prabhupada mentions at the end of Brahma Jyoti, at the end of the purport there.
Yep.
He mentioned the Brahma Jyoti. So the spiritual light, they for them, the Mayavadis, that is the supreme reality, the supreme truth is the Brahman, the Brahma Jyoti. So they say that is the ultimate truth, that's God. And sometimes God temporarily manifests in the material world in a material form, such as, they say, Krishna, such as Ramachandra, such as Nrsimha, Varaha, so all these Parashuram, so all these different forms, they say material forms, temporary material forms. But that's very offensive to say that when the Lord appears in the material world, that that his appearance is also Maya. It's also illusory like ours. Like this is an illusory form. It's just a temporary material form. So, but the Mayavadis say that the Lord also has that temporary material form when he comes to the material world. And they say that those forms like Krishna and Ram and so forth, the avatars, that they're just temporary forms, that they're not eternal forms. Whereas if we hear directly from the Lord, from Krishna, then actually all these forms are eternal. So Krishna's form is eternal, Ramachandra, Parashuram, Varaha, Kurma, Nrsimha, Vamana, Matsya, Varaha. These are eternal forms. They're not temporary material forms. So we have to be very careful not to make that mistake. And Krishna explains about that in the 9th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, text 11, that people with a poor fund of knowledge, they misunderstand his incarnations in the material world, thinking that they're material forms. But that's not correct. They're actually spiritual forms, eternal spiritual forms.
In chapter 11 in Bhagavad Gita, it's about the universal form, and at the end they say two-handed form is the actual or the real form of Sri Krishna.
Yeah, that's the ultimate form, the
Yeah.
two-handed form.
Yeah.
And then an expansion from the two-handed form is the four-handed form, Chaturbuja. Chaturbuja. That's an expansion from the original two-handed form. Now, that's another thing that people misunderstand. Many Hindus think like that Krishna is an incarnation of Narayana. Of course, Narayana has 4 arms, Chaturbuja, and Krishna has 2 arms, Dvibhuja. So many Hindus think that Vishnu is the supreme and that Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. But actually, that's not what the Vedas say. That the Vedas say that Vishnu is an incarnation of Krishna. Actually, how Krishna and all the other avatars come into the material world is like through you could say through the portal or the doorway of Vishnu. You could say Vishnu is like the way that the Lord appears in the material world is via the medium of Vishnu. I'll give you an example that how Krishna appeared, right? I don't know how much you know about why Krishna appeared and the background behind why he appeared, but the controller of the earth, you know who that is? Bhumi. You know, Bhumi Mata. So there's a female goddess, a female Devi. She is in the controller of the earth. That, like we say, Mother Earth, right? So it's true, Mother Earth. There is a woman in control of the earth. So her name is Bhumi Devi, Bhumi Mata. So she was feeling a great burden on the earth 5,000 years ago. So many asuras were creating so many problems, and the proper functioning of human society was not there, and it was going off track due to these so many asuras.
I think there is
like
a verse on Bhagavad Gita, there is a verse, Yada yada hi dharmasya glani bhavati bharate.
Yes, correct.
Abhyuthana dharmasya.
Yeah. So there was so much. Tadatmanam Srajamyaham. So at that time, Tadatmanam Srajamya manifest at that time when there's adharma. And glani means discrepancy. When there's discrepancies in the practice of dharma, then he appears. And then the next one says Purchanaya sadhanam vanashayata druskutam dharma samstapanataya sambhavami yuga yuga. So, to deliver the devotees, to kill the demons, and to re-establish religious principles. Yuga, he comes every yuga. So Bhumi was feeling great misery due to all these adharmic asuras there. And because who is doing the adharma? That's the asuras, the demons, the non-devotees. So many non-devotee demons and acting irreligious ways. So in her distress, she went to her boss, Lord Brahma, and said, that please help me. And when there's some problem that Brahma can't sort it out, then he goes to his boss, and that's Vishnu, because he was born from Vishnu. Garbhodakashayi Vishnu was born from Vishnu. So he knows that higher than him is Vishnu. So Lord Brahma and many of the other devas and Bhumi went to as I explained one time to you, to the bank of the milk ocean. Remember,
Yes.
I said one time there's an ocean
Yes,
of milk?
yes.
So that's where Saradakashayi Vishnu. There's one planet where Saradakashayi Vishnu resides, and that's also called Svetadweep.
Yes.
Svetadweep.
Remember now.
Yeah. So whenever they have a problem they can't handle, then they go there. So, and they can't directly see Vishnu. He's on the other side of the milk ocean, and they're on another side. So, but they offer prayers and meditate on him and offer prayers, and they chant different mantras to try to please him, like Purusha Shukta, so many beautiful prayers and like that. And then the Lord sends a message in the heart of Lord Brahma. So Lord Brahma can hear the answers to their questions within his heart. So it's like a transcendental TV that he can visualize within his heart and everything, get the answers there. Isn't it just like you might be seeing something on your TV screen that might be thousands of kilometers away? It's come right in your room, but actually it's so far away. So the Lord also has some arrangement like that. And then at that time, Krishna said, Vishnu said that don't worry, I will appear soon in the form of Krishna. And in the Yadu dynasty, I will take birth in the Yadu dynasty. I will take birth in the Yadu dynasty. I don't know if he mentioned the name Krishna actually, but he said, I will appear soon in the Yadu dynasty, and I want all of you demigods to take birth in the Yadu dynasty. So actually, when Krishna appeared, such big Yadu dynasty, Yadu Vamsha, many of those Yadu Vamsha were actually demigods in disguise that had taken birth within that dynasty to assist the Lord in his pastimes. So when people hear things like that, they can misunderstand that actually Vishnu is the supreme and that Krishna is just a manifestation or an incarnation of Vishnu. But that's actually not correct. Actually, like Brahma himself says in the Brahma Samhita, Govindam Adi Purusham Tamaham Bhajami. So Govinda is the Adi Purusha. The Adi Purusha, the first person, is Govinda. Govinda, of course, is a name for Krishna. So there's many, many verses like that. And of course, in Bhagavad Gita, in the 10th chapter, text 8, there's the very famous verse, Aham Savasya Prabhavo Matasavam Pravadate. I am the source of everything in the spiritual material worlds, like that. So there's many verses that indicate that Krishna is the supreme. But yeah, there's a lot of misunderstandings. Like I said, that some people think that the energy is the supreme, and that Krishna and the other incarnations are temporary manifestations of that, or they think that Krishna is an incarnation of Vishnu. Krishna, an incarnation of Vishnu, is not such a big offense. To think that Krishna's form is material, that's a big offense. But to think that Vishnu is a supreme and Krishna's incarnation of Vishnu is not so bad, because actually they're all God. They're all different forms of God. So it's just a technical point. It's a technical point, but it doesn't really matter so much who's first. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really matter who's first so much, because in one sense, in terms of power and qualities and opulences, they're all absolute. They're all God, different manifestations of God. So there's no harm really in thinking that your Istadev, your worshipful deity, is Vishnu, or someone else. They think that Ramachandra is the supreme, or someone thinks that Nrsimha is the supreme. I mean, that's all good. There's no problem with that, because they're just different forms of God. But saying that God is not God, that he's an ordinary person, that's a big offense like that. Does that make sense?
Yes, I mean, yeah, I mean, even if he's appearing in the form because of our limitation, because we cannot perceive things beyond what we can see, senses. So he's coming in a form where it's easier for us to listen, but his activities can tell you that he's not like one of us. I mean, yeah.
Exactly. That's a good point. He's lifting mountains and killing big demons and
yeah. So I mean, that's just very common sense thing. You have to look at and see. Okay, yes, of course. I mean, they are not like us. Nobody can lift a mountain on a fingertip.
Yeah.
Okay. Should I go ahead with the next?
Continue.
When the child saint Prahalad Maharaja was in the presence of his atheist father, his father asked him, "Where is your God?" When Prahalada replied that God resides everywhere, the father angrily asked whether his God was within one of the pillars of the palace. And the child said yes. At once the atheist king shattered the pillar in front of him to the pieces, and the Lord instantly appeared as Nrsimha, half man, half lion incarnation, and killed the atheist king. Thus, the Lord is within everything, and he creates everything by his different energies. Through his inconceivable powers, he can appear at any place in order to favor his sincere devotee. Lord Nrsimha appeared from within the pillar not by orders of the atheist king, but by the wish of his devotee Prahalad. An atheist cannot order a Lord to appear, but the Lord will appear anywhere and everywhere to show mercy to his devotee. The Bhagavad Gita 4.8 similarly states that the Lord appears in order to vanquish non-believers and protect believers. Of course, the Lord has sufficient energies and agents who can vanquish atheists, but it pleases him to personally favor a devotee. Therefore, he descends as an incarnation. Actually, he descends only to favor his devotees and not for any other purpose.
So some interesting things here.
Yeah.
So Prabhupada's talking about the pastime of Nrsimhadev and rescuing his devotee Prahlad Maharaj and killing the demoniac father Hiranyakashipu. And this is coming up also because in the translation it's saying the Lord is very far away, at the same time he's very near. So this is illustrating that point in the verse that he's far away and near, because he just came right there out of the pillar. So he's so near. He's omnipresent, as Prabhupada's saying here, the Lord is omnipresent. he's very far away, at the same time he's very near. But interestingly, Prabhupada says that you can't demand the Lord to come here. Okay, you come here right now and prove that you're there, otherwise I'm not going to believe you. He's not going to come. But if the devotee needs some help, if the devotee needs some protection, the Lord, out of love for his devotee, will immediately appear. Like I was saying, according to the degree of surrender. If you're fully surrendered to him, then he's fully there for you in all circumstances. But if you're not surrendered, if you're a demon who's not surrendered to the Lord, then he's not going to be there. He's not going to be there for you. You're never going to see him. So he didn't appear out of the pillar because of the order of the demon, but he appeared out of the pillar to save his devotee. And Prabhupada is making a very nice point at the end of the purport that he really only comes to the material world just to deliver the devotees, not really to kill the demons. Because the point Prabhupada's making is that God has so many energies that can kill unlimited demons. You don't actually need God to come to kill demons. Because, like for example, we have one thing now that God's created called COVID virus. And that's killing so many demons. You don't need God to come to kill the demons. He can just create a little bug that you can't even see it, a virus or a bacteria or whatever like that, and you're dead. He doesn't need to come to kill anyone. He's got so many energy, or like an earthquake or a tsunami or a tidal wave or, a volcano, so many things, or a heart attack, or something like that. You could just, if God doesn't like a person, he could just click his fingers from Vaikuntha and you're dead, so he doesn't need to come for that. But he does come when his devotees call out to him, please save me, please help me, please, I want to see you. I want to see you and worship you. Then out of love for his devotees, he comes. And of course, he's coming to reciprocate with his loving devotees. And then, of course, he's there anyway to serve his devotees. Then, of course, then he will kill the demons. Because he's already come to please the devotees. So while he's there, he might as well kill some demons, and he enjoys that, having a good fight. Because one point that Prabhupada makes also, just like we like to have, I don't know about you, but I have a younger brother that he is, not was, but he's 2.5 years or so younger than me. And we used to really enjoy having a good play fight together.
Yes, yeah, definitely.
Yeah. So just like we like having a play fight, right? Then God also likes having a bit of a fight. And so that for him, that's pleasure. And that's not material because, ordinarily, of course, we have a serious fight, then it ends up in suffering for one party or both parties. But when the Lord fights, it's all auspicious. Like whoever he fights, say he kills Kamsa or Jarasandha or Putana, like that, so many Dantavakra, Pundraka, so many demons he killed, or in this case, Hiranyakashipu, like that, Hiranyaksha, Ram killed Ravana. So whoever gets killed by the Lord, they get the moksha. They get freed from all their pap, all their sins get cleared away. So God's presence is all auspicious. If he touches you on the head with his kamala, with his lotus or his shank, because that's with, like, for example, Narayan Vishnu has 4 arms, right? What is he holding? Do you know what he's holding in his 4 arms?
I think one is Chakra and the other one is Gada. I think.
Yeah, one's the Gada, the club.
And I'm not sure. Maybe one hand is like this, empty or something. I don't know.
No, one has a lotus flower.
Lotus flower. Okay.
Yeah. And the other one has the shank, the conch shell
Okay, conch shell. Yeah.
blowing.
Yeah. Yep.
So it says two items are for blessing devotees. So that's the lotus and the shank is for blessing devotees. And two items are for killing the asuras, the
Yeah.
gada and the chakra.
I didn't
So
think.
two for blessing, two for killing.
Mm.
But it's the same result, all of them.
Mm.
If you get blessed by the Lord's lotus or conch shell being touched on your head, you're going to get liberated. If you get your head chopped off by his chakra or his club is donk you on the head and crush you flat as a pancake, you get moksha. It's the same result, and that's what it's called, meant by that his nature is advaita, is absolute, is absolute. He's like all good, all auspicious. He doesn't just say love someone and hate someone. His nature is just complete love and auspiciousness, goodness. So whether he embraces you or crushes you, then it's going to be the same effect, same result. So that's his magnanimity.
That's very interesting, actually. I mean, yes. I mean, if somebody who is basically an asura means he's not actually. So he can all he. You're saying he can also go to the god to Krishna. Is that correct?
Well, there is a slight difference in that the liberation of a asura and the killed by the Lord and the liberation of a devotee blessed by the Lord is a little bit different quality of liberation. There's not only one kind of liberation, there's many kinds of levels of liberation. So generally the kind of liberation that an asura gets being killed by the Lord, they enter into the Brahmajyoti,
Okay.
which is liberation because it's outside the material world. So they're completely outside the material world and they merge into the spiritual light, which is the bodily rays of the Lord's body. So they merge into that spiritual light. So they're freed from suffering and that they don't have a material body anymore, but they don't have, in that kind of liberation, they don't have a loving relationship with the Lord. It means there's no bhakti. So they don't get to live on a Vaikuntha planet and be a gopi or a gopa or the mother or father of Krishna or so forth like that, having a relationship. They don't become a bhakta. Whereas a devotee, when they're blessed by the Lord in the material world, and they get liberated and they get back their original spiritual form and Vaikuntha and serving him in that way. Having said that, there are some exceptions. Like in Krishna Lila, you can read when Krishna killed a demon named Putana. She was a witch, and her job was basically killing children. She would go around and kill children while they were sleeping and so forth. And very horrible person, real demon. And she was a friend of Kamsa, and Kamsa had sent her to kill all the children in Vrindavan, because Kamsa knew that Krishna had appeared, and the prediction was that the eighth child of his sister would kill him. So the eighth child of Devaki would kill him. That was the destiny that he had heard. And he knew that child had appeared somewhere. He didn't know where it was. So his policy was to kill all the children that had been born recently. So he sent out his friends like Putana to kill all the children. So she came to Vrindavan, disguised as a beautiful woman. She could change her form, so she changed herself to a beautiful woman, and she smeared the poison on her breast. And then she took Krishna onto her breast, and Krishna sucked her breast. And ordinarily, of course, a normal child would have died from that poison. But Krishna sucked the milk from her breast and sucked the poison. And not only all that, then he sucked out her prana, sucked out her life force. So basically, she died. So she died. But then the interesting thing is, apart from that, Krishna didn't die from taking poison, and that even though he was only like, I think, 3 months old at that time, and you know, how many 3-month-old babies can kill demons? No one can do that. So he sucked out her prana, her life here, and then she got liberated, which is always there. But what kind of liberation is very interesting. She didn't merge into the Brahmajyoti. She became a nurse to Mother Yashoda in the Vaikuntha, in the Goloka Vrindavan. Krishna's personal planet is called Goloka. Vaikuntha has many planets, but the topmost planet in the Vaikunthas is called Goloka. That's Krishna's personal planet. And Putana got elevated to the position of her eternal, to be an eternal nurse, assistant to Mother Yashoda in that Goloka Vrindavan. So the Acharyas and all the great Vaishnavas so amazed at how kind, how merciful is. And why she got that extra special position, coming from being a demon, is because Krishna accepted her, that she's approached me as like a mother, and she's giving me milk. He overlooked the fact that she was trying to kill him, but Krishna took the good thing, the positive thing, that she's coming to me and offering service as like a mother, giving milk. So he accepted the good thing, and he just overlooked the bad thing, that she's coming to kill me with poison. But he just took the good thing. Okay, you're dealing with me like a mother. Okay, you're going to become my eternal mother. And that's far out. I mean, that's so merciful. And that's going back to that verse that Prabhupada just quoted before, 4:11, yayata mampapadyate tamstataiva bhajamyaham, that he says, I reward you according to your surrender. So if you look at that, okay, you approach him as a mother, okay, he's going to reward you as a mother.
Yeah, that makes so sense. Yeah.
So, but yeah, generally demons get killed by the Lord. They merge in the Brahman, but very special cases, they might actually get an eternal, be reinstated in their eternal position in the spiritual world. But ordinarily, devotees' liberation is far superior to a demon's liberation. But yeah, everyone gets liberation. But the point I made was that
the level.
Yeah, the level, but also that the Lord, when he comes to the material world, he enjoys fighting. I mean, where do we get that fighting spirit from? Remember that everything that we have is like a perverted reflection of the Lord, because we're part and parcel. We're amsha. Mamai vamsho jiva loke jiva buddha sanatana. The jiva is amsha, is part of the Lord. So whatever qualities we have, that quality comes from the Lord, but of course it's perverted. So, but in the Lord, those qualities are pure. So he has a pure fighting spirit, and it's very auspicious for everyone that's involved in his fighting. And but yeah, the main reason why he comes is not just to fight, but the main reason he comes is to reciprocate with the loving devotees. And as a side issue, then he'll kill the demons and enjoy that fighting also. So there's a lot of things going on.
Yeah. I mean, yeah. That's so. As you said, he's enjoying, so he comes and do the work for devotee, I guess.
Yes.
That's
Yes.
good.
Okay, let's continue. There's only a couple more
Yeah,
paragraphs left.
in Samhita 5.35, it is said that Govinda, the primeval Lord, enters everything by his plenary portion. He enters the universe as well as all the atoms of the universe. He is outside in his Virat form, and he is within everything as Antaryami. And as Antaryami, he witnesses everything that is going on, and he rewards us the result of our action as karma phala. We ourselves may forget what we have done in previous lives, but because Lord witnesses our actions, the result of our actions are always there, and we have to undergo the reaction nonetheless. The fact is that there is nothing but God within and without. Everything is a manifestation of his different energies, like the heat and the light emanating from a fire. And in this way, there is oneness among his diverse energies. Although is oneness, however, the Lord in his personal form still enjoys unlimitedly all the pleasures enjoyed minutely by tiny part and parcel living entities.
So Prabhupada's elaborating on the part of the verse that said he's outside of everything and within everything. So outside of everything means he's in the spiritual world. He's in Vaikuntha. He's that which is outside the universe. At the same time, he's within the universe. And Prabhupada goes so far to say that he's not only within the living entities, like we know he's within our heart, like he's within your heart, within my heart, within your kid's heart, your wife's heart, within the dog's heart, everything. But it goes so far to say, and this is confirmed like he's saying from Brahma Samhita 535, Brahma Samhita, that he's even within the atom. Now that's the smallest thing the scientists know about is the atom. And it's saying here in Brahma Samhita that Krishna in the form of Antaryami, the super soul, is even within the atom. Therefore, like in the Bhagavad Gita 8th chapter text 7, there's a verse there, Kavam Puranamani Shashidarama Anor Aniyamsam Anusmaradya. Anor Aniyamsam means he's smaller than the smallest. So often in Sanskrit, the word for atom is anu. And then so anor, so anor anu. So anor aniyamsam means he's smaller than the smallest, smaller than the atom. So he's even inside the atom. The smallest thing we know of is the atom, but he's even more smaller than that. At the same time, the contradiction is he's greater than the greatest. Because we know Mahavishnu, Karanadakashai Vishnu, you've got universes coming out of the pores of his skin. You've got universes coming out of the pores of his skin. So on one side, he's so big that the universes come out of his skin. And on the other side, he's so small that he's even within the atom. And that's why atoms move. Atoms vibrate. And they have energy. So the question is, of course, the scientists don't know that they know an atom has energy, but they don't know where the energy of the atom comes from. But we know, we are the real scientists, the spiritual scientists. We know that the energy of the atom comes from the Antarjami, from the super soul, is giving the energy there. And Prabhupada explains in one purport in the Bhagavad Gita, also in the 2nd chapter, that scientists know that the essence of the energy of the body comes from the I think he mentions white corpuscles in the heart. There's white corpuscles in the heart. They say that is the fundamental source of energy for the body, is those white corpuscles in the heart. we know that, the heart is the core of the body's energy, is all coming from the heart. But apparently within the heart, there's these white corpuscles, and they move around, and, there's energy there and everything that goes throughout the body. And then the body's alive. So, but what they don't know, but what we know, is where do the white corpuscles get their energy from? And that's Antajami. That's the super soul. Because the super soul is there in the heart. Because according to the scriptures, the super soul, where does the super soul reside within the body? Alongside the jiva. There's actually two souls there. There's the jivatma, that's us, and then there's paramatma, the super soul. So both the jivatma and paramatma reside in the heart. And that's why the heart region is the source of all the energy of the body, not just because of the white corpuscles, but because the individual soul, us, and the supreme soul is there. And that's a powerhouse. That's a powerhouse of energy there. And of course, when the jivatma and the paramatma leave the body, that is death. And then, of course, the white corpuscles don't have any energy anymore, and everything shuts down, because both the small atma and the big atma, they leave, and they're the actual source of energy for the white corpuscles and all the other things in the body like that. So this is the real science. This is the spiritual science, and I find it really fascinating to understand, because I knew before about some of these things, atoms, and there's neutrons and protons and electrons and all these kind of things. But now you're going back a step further and understanding about where do these energies get their energy from. And now it makes so much more sense, because we never really thought about that before. Okay, but where do the corpuscles get their energy from? Where does the atoms get their energy from to vibrate? We never really took it back a step further. Where do they get their energy from? We just accepted it that, they give energy to the body or whatever like that. The body's made up of these things. But we never took it back, a step further.
Yeah, we never thought about that. I mean, what something goes out of your body and you're dead. That's it. I mean, what is that? Yeah. That's the ultimate source, isn't it?
Yeah. And Prabhupada makes an interesting point. He said, if you say that life comes from matter, okay, say that, well, some material component of the body left at the time of death, so then by that logic, just put it back. Okay, say you lost some white corpuscles and then you died. Okay, just, what a white corpuscles are. You can generate that, so you just put that back in. Like if your car has ran out of petrol and then it stops, right? It's like dead. But you can just put petrol in and it'll come back to life. So, okay, you say that life comes from matter, then you can just add those missing chemicals. Some chemicals have lost. You add the missing chemicals and presto, then life will come back. But they can't do that. They can't generate life from a dead body. And that's actually because the reason is because life doesn't come from matter. Life comes from life. There's one little book called Life Comes from Life, which is some conversations that one of Prabhupada's disciples, who was a scientist, he was speaking with Prabhupada and other scientists, and all these scientific-based conversations are recorded in that book, Life Comes from Life. But that was one of their points, that life doesn't come from matter. Life from chemicals, meaning, it doesn't come from chemicals, doesn't come from matter. Life comes from life, means the soul. That's where life comes from. And as soon as the soul departs, then you've got no more life. Then the chemicals just all disintegrate and they're finished there. So that's interesting. We're learning about Antajami. And it's interesting, one thing it's saying here, that, he's within everything. Okay, we understand that. But what is he doing within everything? Prabhupada makes the point here, which is very important, that he's witnessing. Why does he hang out with us? Why does he stay with us? Because he's watching us, and he is fulfilling our desires according to what we deserve. Okay, so he's watching you, watching me, and he's seeing that, well, I want, a lot of money, and I want, beautiful women, and I want nice food and all these things. So who's arranging all these things? We never think about that. How did I end up getting a house and getting a wife and getting a car and getting money? Did that just happen automatically by chance or by my effort? No, that was actually that the Antarjami, the super soul, is there for witnessing our desires and fulfilling our desires, as Prabhupada's using the word karma phal. Karma phal. So he's giving us the phal means the fruits or the results of our karma, of our activities. So he's seeing what the desires that you have and the actions you're doing, and he's giving you the phal. So the phal or the fruit is coming from him. And then that becomes very significant because, of course, we all want the nice fruit, the nice results, but very important to understand that by whose mercy you're getting all these nice fruits, is by the mercy of the Lord. So we should all be very conscious of that, I should try to please him, because everything that I'm enjoying, that I want to enjoy, is coming by his grace, by his mercy. If he doesn't sanction it, if he doesn't give permission, then you're not going to get it. You're not going to get it. So that's one thing where that God becomes very relevant to all of our lives. Because some people think, oh, who cares about God? He just created the universe, and then, who cares? Oh, I need money and women and food and that. I don't need God, so who cares about God? But what you got to realize, or everyone should realize, is that without God, you don't have food. You don't have a house. You don't have a wife. You don't have kids, because he's rewarding us with all of these things. He's giving us the results, the fruits of all our activities. If he doesn't sanction it or give permission, you don't have anything. You can't take a breath of air. You can't lift your arm. Unless he allows you to lift your arm, you can't. I mean, you might desire to lift your arm, but unless he says, yes, okay, you can lift it, you can't move it. So ultimately he's sanctioning all of our desires. And that becomes very practical and relevant information for us right here and now. Oh, this is just Hindu mythology, Krishna, but who cares about Krishna? No, not like that. He's right here now in my heart, giving me everything that I want and everything that I need. Or maybe I might want it, but if I don't deserve it, he's not going to give it to me. Or if it's not good for me, if he knows, oh, if I give this to a boy, what he wants, then this is going to stuff him up, so I'm not going to give it to him. So, this is very relevant. He is right in our every moment, day-to-day life. He's there and making these amazing arrangements for us. And that, when you think about that, that's far out. Yeah. That's completely cool to understand that. And then we should, that's when bhakti should come. That he's doing so much for me. He gave me this body, he gave it to me, and this house and this car and this wife, this family, this money, this job. He's given my breathing, my arms are moving, giving me strength, giving me a brain that works, intelligence. Without him, I can't even think. I can't remember anything. I can't remember without his grace, what I did yesterday, what I had for breakfast today. So everything is working by his mercy. And then you start to think, well, maybe I should do something for him. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama. So And this is how the bhakti develops, when you realize that. Otherwise, if it's just, oh, God, he created along many millions of years ago, created something, and he's got nothing to do with my life now, then how are you going to develop any feelings for him? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, I think that clears the context, around you, why you are here and all those things. It kind of gives you picture that you're not in control, and basically tells you about your position, basically why, I mean, what level you are on, and how you're dependent on things, to dependent on Krishna. So it's just gives you, I mean, it gives you the full context of, for a material body or living being here in this world, how you're connected and how things are happening. I mean, that's gives you complete picture. At the moment, those people who don't believe in God, they are actually getting half picture, half, and anything incomplete. If you have anything, if you don't know about complete about a machine, how are you going to operate, no? And I think that's where it comes. If you have the complete knowledge, you understand where the authority is and what you need to do. Then you have, so the context, the context of a living being, basically it's much more clearer now that how you're dependent on something, Krishna, and what's happening, and all those clarity. But if you're a materialist, is there, he only looking at the first part. He's just looking at the material side of it, not the the other part which moves it or does everything. So if you don't ignore, so the full picture, actually, that's what you're saying, I think. Understanding of your position is, that's what it is. I mean, if you understand that, I think it's getting too dark.
It's getting pretty late. But that's just mind blowing. When you get to this kind of point, you realize that there's nothing other than Krishna. Krishna's everything. How could you say that Krishna's not relevant? He is everything. There's nothing other than Krishna. I mean, he's even within the atom. I mean, atoms are everywhere, and Krishna's within the atom means Krishna's everywhere. So even Krishna's within the atheists, but the atheist doesn't recognize that. But I mean, it's coming to this knowledge and this realization is really exciting. I mean, this is the real science. And when you understand this, then you understand everything. If you can understand Krishna, then you actually understand everything, because he's the essence of everything. And you really got your finger on the pulse. And then amazing things can happen, because when you start to connect with Krishna, because he's like I'm saying, he's the ultimate sanctioner of everything. Once you can connect with Krishna and please Krishna, then amazing things can start to happen, like what we saw in Prabhupada's life. 70-year-old young man. I mean, what can you do at 70 years old? But how he achieved so many amazing things. Why is that? Because he's directly connected with the Antarjami, with the Paramatma. And just incredible things are just miraculous. Miracles are just happening. So when it's like you're plugging into the powerhouse. As soon as, if the socket's out of the wall, you got no energy. But as soon as you plug into the right place, you're connected with millions of volts. Like that. It's unlimited power. So that's very important information to understand.
I think that is the crux of, that's the real knowledge in terms of, because when we say atheist, he doesn't have the full picture. That's what it is, atheist. He doesn't have the other side of thing, which is like, who's doing all these things and how we are, what's our position there. I mean, that's the real knowledge. Once you understand, and as said, if you want to operate a machine or you want to understand a system, you need to understand the whole system to work it, to utilize it. If you understand half of it, you won't be able to use it all. I mean, so it's quite, that's total different thinking, which you don't see, which you don't. So it's very difficult, but once you get that, I think you as you said,
paradigm shift.
That's right. That's the word. I think that's the paradigm shift.
Paradigm shift.
We always have a half knowledge, or not even half knowledge, maybe. So we don't. That's pretty.
But it's really, really stimulating. Enlivening to the mind.
When you understand, I mean, just think about that. You understand the system, and then you basically you understand the rules, and then you work accordingly, and everything is fine. No problems.
Yes. Yeah.
I think it's getting too
Well,
late.
very good.
Thank you very much.
Well, that was very nice.
Too
Very nice
stimulating.
to have a chat.
Hare Krishna.
Krishna, take care.